Now, in the last chapter of Dragon Ball Super, a battle of ideologies was seen, one which went over most readers' heads when Goku and Vegeta found themselves powerlessly fighting against the men of Morrow, with not only their God Ki being absorbed as they fought, but even their normal transformational Ki. But it was at this exact point we saw the first collision of mindsets between Goku and Vegeta, and the first hint of what was to come in Vegeta's exciting story moving forward. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I'm talking about when Goku screamed to Vegeta to grab his hand as he attempted instant transmission to escape, but Vegeta instead looked back visibly ashamed at his own powerlessness, angry at himself, angry at Kakarot's influence on him, and angry at the newfound world of Super he found himself in. A world where no longer does brute force and power matter or make a difference, unlike in the days of Cell and Buu, where moments of pure iconicism were seen, with Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, or even the witnessing of Goku's first transformation to Super Saiyan 3, which was sensed all the way from Kami's lookout. Instead, he remains frustrated that they rely on what he calls stupid god power and stupid magic spells. Since the start of Dragon Ball Super, the era of transformation and breaking limits has all but gone. We never got to see a Super Saiyan 4, or even the long-awaited Super Saiyan 5. Instead, we witnessed red, blue and white god forms, which many of us saw as nothing more than colour swaps. And when the legendary Super Saiyan finally arrived, who surpassed both Goku and Vegeta, once again the loophole of fusion is what saved them, and not an incredible and inspirational scene of overcoming limits and exploding in power like we remember from the past. Just like many of us, Vegeta realized this and instead chased after a passing galactic patrol ship and caught the captain off guard, threatening his life and ordering him to travel to planet Yardra. From even this very decision, however, we saw everything about Vegeta's mindset through the questions it raised. For one, if he really wanted to travel to planet Yardra, isn't this something he could have done very easily with the help of Goku? He could have escaped and then told Goku of his plan. Goku would know the exact location of Yardra and get him to the location instantaneously. So the fact Vegeta chose this option with no word at all suggests the level of secrecy Vegeta wants. Vegeta no longer wants Kakarot involved in his affairs. He no longer wants to go down the route of Kakarot. God power, Ultra Instinct, Instant Transmission. These are all cheap parlor tricks that are unfit of a true Saiyan in his eyes. He wants to go down his own path to power, one which he referenced all the way back in the Tournament of Power and was hinted at also in his complete undesire to ever fuse to win. He didn't want to against Jiren, and after defeating Broly, he vowed never again to participate. To this end, it's confusing to understand what could possibly drive Vegeta to go to the one planet tied to Goku, which taught him all the fancy parlor tricks of instant transmission and fusion. Could he really be going there to learn instant teleportation after explicitly telling Goku, "Forget instant teleportation. We Saiyans pride ourselves on physical might and nothing more. A warrior race has no need for fancy parlor tricks." No, Vegeta would not unless it could achieve another goal. And this is where Vegeta's greatest story begins. When Vegeta eventually arrives on planet Yardra, his ship door opens, and he stands alone looking at the wasteland-like environment of Yardra. Immediately, he is confronted by local elder Yardrats who question, "Who are you, young man?" Vegeta flies over and smiles, recounting, "You're really a whole lot more different than what I expected. Are you the same Yardrats who took in Kakarot?" The Yardrats would look back confused before telling Vegeta, "Yes, we are the Yardrat people, but we know nothing of this Kakarot you speak of." Vegeta would then begin recounting the story of how a Saiyan who fought Frieza landed here many years ago. He trained here and mastered the power of becoming a Super Saiyan and learned many skills, including instant transmission and fusion. I am here to learn the same things. The Yardrats would look at each other completely bemused by what they've heard, before a voice from the shadows would shout, "I know of the one you call Kakarot." A younger, more powerful looking Yardrat would stand and proclaim, "I used to call him Goku, but I am the one who taught him instant transmission." Vegeta would smile before time would pass and his training would be complete. Vegeta would emerge from his training now in full Yardrat clothing and with his first act, would use his instant transmission to go to one planet, one area which he had planned to go this entire time. Planet Vampa, the planet of Broly, a planet he could get to just by sensing the ki of Broly which he experienced on Earth. Instantaneously, Vegeta would arrive before immediately turning into a Super Saiyan God. The reasoning, you ask? Twofold. One, to hide his ki so that Goku could never find him, and for two, to create enough of a ruckus and sound that Broly is immediately alerted. And just as expected, Broly does immediately show up, and with anger and disgust on his face at having to see the son of King Vegeta once more. Though Broly had arguably left on good terms with Goku, with Vegeta, he still remembers the sins of his father, and the intense hate Paragus had instilled in him for the Vegeta bloodline. Regardless, Vegeta would begin explaining his situation, how he respects the true Saiyan power Broly represents, and tells him of his eagerness to train with him and learn the secrets of his power, especially the form Broly used before becoming a Super Saiyan, the one we now know as Ikari. If perhaps Vegeta could master this power, which is not a true transformation, but instead a triggering of Oozaru in base form, would he somehow be able to avoid the ki absorption of Moro and beat him? Finally, Vegeta could do something that Goku could not, achieve a form before Goku that no longer relies on gods or magic, but instead the natural ability of the warrior race, known as the Saiyan. Vegeta would train for days intensely, and non-stop fighting Broly, until finally the limits of Vegeta are broken and a new Saiyan power beyond Super Saiyan 3 and potentially even beyond that of Super Saiyan Blue is unlocked for Vegeta. A power where not only the natural power of the Oozaru is contained, but potentially a Super Saiyan Oozaru at that. A form that, if you remember from the Saiyan saga, was one that Vegeta at one point had full control over. Vegeta would surprise Broly and be able to push him back, but never surpass the power of the legendary form, of course. But this would be enough. Moro is not by any means an incredibly powerful foe when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, and we've seen this in the battle with Buu, where he was effortlessly defeated. If Vegeta, with his incredible natural fighting instinct, was able to get in close with a power stronger than base that could not fall prey to the energy absorption technique, he may very well become the hero of Dragon Ball we always wanted. For once, Vegeta may become the one to finish off a major villain by himself and without aid, just as Goku did before him. With this, Vegeta would accomplish separating himself finally from the shadow of Goku, and critically from the weakness of relying on the power of gods and, as he calls them, magic tricks. But would this be permanent? Would Vegeta really give up the power of a Super Saiyan Blue, and even the currently missing in action Evolution Blue, and all its incredible powers that saved them countless times? It seems unlikely given the power of Oozaru is only supposed to be a 10 times multiplier, but we have to take into consideration just how far Vegeta's resolve goes. Clearly, after fighting Moro, he has realized the powerless feeling of being unable to resort to a god's power which ultimately was only given to him through ritual rather than pure training. An unnatural Saiyan form, born not through lone wolf strength, but instead the cooperation of many. Stuck in his head, he remembers the days where he focused entirely on training his base power in some way, endlessly in the gravity machine until his limits were broken, increasing the gravity each day until his mind and body broke in the hope of catching up to Goku. But now that time has ended. Goku no longer returns from the other world with a surprising new Super Saiyan upgrade, nor does Gohan suddenly show his infinite potential and surprise everyone with a new form either. Times have changed, and so too has the enemy they face. A true magician, using some form of trick to zap the energy straight out from him and Goku, and what's worse, even manipulate it to control completely the bodies of the two. Of the two Saiyans, however, only one is known to be a true battle technician, a master in combat with a mind built for battle, and it's fitting that on this occasion, where they fight such a unique foe, Vegeta takes control and puts into action a unique plan in secrecy, the first step of which is travelling to Yardrat to learn instant transmission and ultimately then visit Broly once more and perhaps even convince him to join him in a battle against Moro. That too would be a completely plausible explanation for visiting Broly in secret, potentially believing Kakarot would not be smart enough to understand. Vegeta could just instead convince Broly to fight Moro, knowing already that the Ikari power of Broly would protect him. He may even believe that Broly at full legendary power would just be far too much for even Moro to absorb. Too much energy that could just not be handled. Harking back to the days of Yakon, where Goku too oversupplied the energy absorbing creature until he exploded. These are all possible ideas that may or may not happen, but one thing's for sure, and that is that Vegeta has a plan in mind. One which he did not want Kakarot to know, and one which ultimately will prove to be a complete game changer and pivotal point in this arc. It's up to you to agree or disagree, but what's important is that I hear what you think. Why exactly do you think Vegeta is heading to Yardrat? What's the plan? Could he learn instant transmission and use it to find Broly? Let me know and I'll do my best to read and respond to each of you. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and hopefully you've subscribed to hear me again. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, watch this video next, right here. You'll be surprised by what you see. Until next video guys, cheers.